Hello, 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 and welcome, my Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Welcome to your timeless work, career, and vocation reading. I am your reader, Mark Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, professional witch, professional intuitive, president of Drawing the Circle Productions since 1998, author of Words of Grace from a Professional Witch, available on Kindle, link in the description box, and creator on Patreon, patreon.com/drawingthecircle. Having a field day over there because I am the Archangel of Lyons, Mark Angelo Lyons, but you can call me Mal. Hi. Hey, my Sagittariuses. 12 card spread. Let's get down to it. If you're new to the channel, a work, career, vocation read is technically a 3 levels of power reading using those archetypal lenses that I learned from Carolyn Myss, MYSS, PhD. These are her archetype cards. There is a link in the description box for a YouTube video explaining the 3 levels of power that you can look at, look through them like lenses at different areas of your life. In this case, life purpose. There are chakras involved. We'll get there when we get there. And these are timeless reads. They weren't always, but I kind of looked back over them and said these could apply to anyone at any time. So it's a general read. You know, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Check your other signs, particularly because your sun, if you know your sun, moon, rising, and Venus, I find in the 3 levels of power, I've been doing these readings for clients for decades now, that there's usually one that has leverage. Why? The one that says here, focus on your vocation, and it'll bring the other 2 into alignment. So your sun sign might certainly be more about your work in the world, your moon, your internal creative career, right? And who knows, your Venus, your rising, any of that could be in your vocation. So that being said, both feet on the floor if you can, focus on your breath if you will. I will do the same to get you the clarity, guidance, and grace that I can, and I love doing this. This is my work, career, and vocation, all brought into alignment. Please take a nice deep breath. And here we go. As I call upon the collective pantheons of angels, archangels, goddesses, gods, ascended masters of work, career, vocation, and the higher selves of all involved for the Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, watching this video, receiving this reading, please. 3 cards, the 8th chakra archetypes of work, career, vocation for the Sagittarius. First, for their work, their survival intuition, their work in the world. For their career, what's the dominant archetype there? For their internal world, right? Their hunger, their passion, their thirst, what they yearn for, what they burn for, their creative intuition. And for their vocation, their spiritual calling, the star that calls them forward, right? Their spiritual and mystical power. Their visionary intuition. Let's see what hits the table. This is in. These are in the title. Let's see what you got. All right. The engineer, the monk, nun, and the virgin. Keep in mind, you can read all of these in both directions, left to right and right to left. The engineer is a creative family archetype. There are 9 families. That's the one that belongs to. The monk, nun, is the divine family, and the virgin is the feminine family, but we're not talking about bodily gender. We're talking about more yin energy, internal energy, receptive. It has very little to do with the act, the sex act. But it certainly can. But when we're putting it in vocation, it's a different vibe altogether. It's being a bit of a purist. I'm a Virgo, so I can relate to it. But it doesn't show up where you think it would all the time. So let me read you what's on here. Shadow attribute, light attribute, the lead, the gold, the pain, the peace, what it is that you are learning, dealing with, growing through. The 8th chakra totally affects what's going on in all the other chakras, what you attract, what you repel, right? Jumping timelines, all that kind of stuff. So in your work here, creative family archetype, the shadow, Reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences, like layoffs, right? It's like, well, this is what we have to do. Sorry, you lost your job, blah, 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 right? And you get that in the work world. So even if you're not the one doing that, you can imagine that vibe, right? That thing going on planet Earth right now. The light attribute, ability to give creative energy a practical expression. Right? So it's wonderful to have the creative energy, but how are you putting it out in the world? I think this is more your case. Talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas. Now, you can have an archetype, a reason, a season, or a lifetime. It comes and goes for me for reasons, like particularly working with tech, right? Because I am my own staff. I am my own engineering staff, right? DrawingTheCircle Productions. Yeah, I'm the president, but so I can relate to that creative part of finding ways of taking my creativity and putting it into physical form in a practical way, as well as a talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas, but do understand that that can be socially as well, right? It can be someone can absolutely engineer a strategy in all sorts of different ways in the world. So that's interesting. We've got the monk nun here, comes and goes for me. It's definitely not dominant in my chart, but the shadow attribute, negative judgment of the physical world and excess piety. And that word the piety is a grace. It's the second chakra grace. It's about honoring your connection umbilically to another person or thing, right? So, you know, what are your spiritual beliefs about money, for example? Second chakra, creativity, sexuality. And this is your career here. So we're talking about something that in the light, selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit, that might be your spirituality, but it could also be single-minded focus on your inspiration, which is very ninth house, ruled by Jupiter, right? Spirituality, expansion, all that stuff. Loving that. That feels like that could be leverage. But with the Virgin now, as I said, in your vocation, this is really powerful. And I think you'll see a resonance with the monk nun here. The shadow attribute, a fear of intimate union. Why? Out of negative judgments of the physical world and excess piety. I get it. I don't. My New Year's resolution for 2022 is to leave the house less than in 2021. I get it. But the light attribute, maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit. So this feels like this could be an artist of any kind, right? It's not all about music, dance, theater, you know, culinary artist, however you express yourself. Very, very high divine feminine vibe here, getting the inspiration, hearing the call, but this internal single-minded devotion to spirit to keep it pure in heart and coming up with strategies for common dilemmas. I think that's really, really healthy, cool, if balanced. So let's look at the inside. Daughters of the Moon Tarot does the next 4 chakras down. The crown chakra, the third eye, the throat, and the heart, where we make our decisions, right? Where we do the internal laboratory stuff. And your experience of this. Please take a nice deep breath. As I call upon my goddesses of fire, the sign of Sagittarius and powers of the south, please, 3 cards. We'll pull them one at a time, face up, and talk about them a little bit here for the Sagittarian collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign watching this video, receiving this reading. We've got the engineer in the 8th chakra of their work. What's going on in the heart, third eye, crown there? Excellent. Ace of Flames would be the Ace of Wands. So there is, you are lit on the inside, right? An inspiration, creation is the key word written on the card here. So the creative spark is there. And it feels like you're ready to, you want to put it into action on the inside. That's good. Let's keep going. The monk nun and their career, and there is that thing of single-minded, you know, devotion here, but also negative judgment of the physical world, particularly in career, like the music industry. I'm not a musician. I can sing the crap out of a song. I'm trained, but you know, I don't want to be dealing with the music industry, so I could feel that in a career or whatever, you know, just selling out, all of that could very much be part of that monk nun. So my goddesses, what's going on there for the Sagittarius. Such a powerful, reclusive sign. But we have the Three of Wands, loyalty, waiting. But this can absolutely be about loyalty. The Three of Wands, the Three of Flames, of being loyal to yourself, being loyal to your honor code, being loyal to your heart, to your inspiration, that single-minded devotion to spirit. This is making sense, and you got 2 fire so far, 2 fire cards, Saggies. So my goddesses, the Virgin in the 8th, that purity, symbolic purity of heart and spirit. Like, I do not want a stick of butter with people around with cuts and crumbs on it. Give me my own little stick, my own little wrapper thing, right? Do not make me watch karaoke. Someone sings off key. It's like dragging a rake across a chalkboard. That's how I have the Virgin archetype. So please, 1 card in clarity for their calling of all things. That symbolic purity of spirit in their spiritual mystical power. Their spiritual calling is the 2 of Blades, analysis. But that's good. That's good because it is a sifting and sorting. Mentally, in a sense, the Ace of Blades, the Ace of Swords, has become the 2 of Swords here. Not so much that thing of deception, but 2 fencers, right? To doing sword play. That there's, a certain amount of moves, right? You don't know what your opponent knows, but if you cannot just think of your next move, but their next move and how you're going to counter that. And I think that bodes well for the engineer here, but it's gathering information. Analysis is gathering the data while it's simmering, while your creativity is moving its thing. So figuring out the purity of this is going to maybe take you a little while to feel this out. But remember, it's not all mind. The Virgin really does speak purity of heart, of soul. It's a bit higher than just the mind. I like this. I like this. Minor Arcana is good, that they don't last very long usually. This feels like a fast-moving read. Lower 3 chakras, we're doing with the mythic tarot, the yang, the masculine energy of this. You from the outside looking in at yourself, you from the inside looking out at something in the physical world. Oftentimes it's both of those things, holographically, but it's also the lower 3 chakras which dominate relationships in the world. Root chakras, groups, and tribes. More than 3 people. Even I love Stevie Nicks, so I'm part of the Stevie Nicks, thing, right? Generation X, right? So any group that you can think of. 2nd chakra, one-on-one, talked about that. Creativity, sexuality, but your relationship to other people, one-on-one as well. And what I feel like is going on here, the solar plexus, your relationship to yourself, right? Your boundaries, what you will, what you won't, what you do, what you don't, your honor code, right? All of that. Breathe. Let's draw down. As I call upon my gods of fire, the sign of Sagittarius, powers of the south, please, 3 cards in clarity. Make it as specific as possible for the Sagittarian collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs watching this video, receiving this reading in their work, career, vocation. What's going on in the masculine energy here? They've got engineer in the 8th with the Ace of Flames on the inner in their work. What's that look like on the outer? High Priestess, you're keeping your yap shut. It's good. You're keeping it secret. You're keeping it safe while you are developing a strategy. Work. It's a good place to be, right? Particularly with this loyalty thing going on with the monk nun. Like, if you're really in alignment with your spirit, your soul, right, in terms of your creativity here, then you know it's worth waiting for, but you have to make sure it's lining up for you. Yeah, because fire is throat chakra. It's about choices. So the choices throat chakra has 3 settings: spit, swallow, or chew. You're chewing, and that's a good thing. Breathe. And that's a good thing. Met Martha Stewart twice. She was fun. Both feet on the floor, Mark. All right, my gods. Monk nun in the 8th with loyalty, 3 of flames on the inner in their career. What's going on here on the outer lower 3 chakra dynamic? The King of Wands, the Aries card, creative, fire. I think you've got this on lock. I think when it comes to making the decisions here, you're the one who's going to do it, but it is Aries energy. So we're looking at an initiation, cardinal fire, really putting your creativity out in the world. But, you know, it's the first sign of the zodiac. So, you know, here, that's Aries energy, right? Begin, initiate, do it. But with that monk nun, it feels like you're ready. You may even be able, you may even be willing. But this feels like a timing thing that's going on here with that high priestess in the outer world. But I feel like you're locked and loaded, so to speak, with this. So let's turn now to their vocation, my gods. Virgin in the 8th. 2 of blades, and that's it. I wouldn't call it indecision. I'd call it kind of looking at it all the different angles. With that virgin archetype, really looking for that purity of how they're thinking about this. What's going on? Lower 3 chakras, please. My gods, for the Sagittarians in their vocation. The moon. You've got the moon. So things are not really so very, very clear, but they're probably very, very, very intuitive, if not intuitive, then we could say emotional. The moon is a card of occlusion, like you get an occlusion in your eye. Things get foggy. Root word, occult. It means hidden. Right? People freak out over that word, O-C-C-U-L-T, occult. It just means you can't really see it so clearly. A foggy night. But I will say with the goddess Hecate and the goddess Persephone here, they have a relationship. So the more that you can take the mystery as a mystery, keep your mouth shut, keep your secrets to yourself about the inspiration that you're getting while you are analyzing it. It is important for us, to a certain extent, to gather information about the inspiration that we get, right? Depends on the inspiration, right? Don't burn down the village, as you know, you may want to, but that's not what I get here. I think you're really trying to do this in a very, very pure way. You know, here's a hit. But maybe you need to look at what analyze what you think is spiritual and what isn't. Because if E equals MC squared, if we're all one, right? That thing about the shadow fear of intimate union, well, but that can mean all sorts of different things, particularly with the moon. Hecate is also the queen of the crossroads, I call her. So this has some volume to it. Volume's not the right word. Some velocity. It's got some voltage to it. It was a word. It was one of those. Right? It's got some voltage to it. A lot of fire. Well, you got the Aries card, you got the 3 of flames, and you've got the Ace of flames. With only 2 major arcana cards, I would say that that's predominant. I would call this a fire predominant read. So, our last 3 cards down. The Healing Mantra deck by Matt Kahn. These are very helpful, and you can put them together in different ways. Remember, you can read these spreads from the point of view of any 3, but if you read the energy this way and then this way, you get different takes on the same message. Please take a nice deep breath. We will do these, well, there is no face down on this deck. One side is the name of the mantra, the other side is the mantra. But I will do these to the best of my ability. Eyes closed. As I call upon the ascended masters of work, career, vocation, life purpose through the 3 levels of power, please, 3 perfect healing mantras. Make this specific for the Sagittarian collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign watching this video, receiving this reading. Let them have it. Help them heal this. In their work, they've got the Engineer in the 8th chakra with Ace of Flames, the Ace of Wands, most phallic card in traditional tarot, of that wanting to put it out there. But with the High Priestess, Persephone underground, right? Our Lady underground, just, you know, she's in her queen mode. She's not letting on what's going on there, hanging with her husband still at the time of this recording. So perfect healing mantra for them there. In their career, the monk nun, which goes very well with that virgin archetype in their vocation, but with that loyalty, right? That dedication, maybe single pointed focus on the divine in some way, right? The word specifically, single-minded dedication to spirit. And with that loyalty, that makes sense. But with that King of Wands, that Aries energy, that it feels like they're ready to do this. They're just really, really, really getting clear. The devotion is there. What's their perfect healing mantra for that? And lastly, we've got the Virgin archetype, that purity, dedication to purity of spirit and heart. With the Two of Blades on the inner makes sense, that analysis, but with the moon on the outer, this is mystical power. There is a mystical thing here. They're not going to see the whole picture, at least not right now. So please, the perfect healing mantra for the Sagittarians in their vocation. All right, let's see who we got on the table, and I'll read it from the bookie book and put it all together. Well, okay, you've got rewriting the subconscious. The more I embrace feeling good, the less often I will feel bad. And I get that. I'm saying let it simmer. Simmer down. In the monk nun, encountering conflict, I don't have to choose sides. I take a stand. I think that's the thing about dealing with the outside world. I'm probably right about that. And for your vocation, resolving anger. Conflict reminds me when I need more space for myself, and I think that conflict is inner. Probably in that mind, the two fencers, the sword players, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So there's two ways to read this. Like I said, you're rewriting the subconscious in your work, encountering conflicts in your career, and resolving anger in your vocation. That totally makes sense. You could do it the other way around too. You're resolving anger in your vocation, which you're encountering conflict in your career, and you're rewriting your subconscious in your work. But then you flip them. And in your work, the more I embrace feeling good, the less often I will feel bad. And in my career, I don't have to choose sides. I take a stand. And in my vocation, conflict reminds me when I need to take more space. See? So they're really quite holographic. Boogie, oogie, oogie. Let's read you Rewriting the Subconscious. And I really like this one because it's got a built-in mnemonic device, meaning a memory device, making it easier to remember. The more I embrace feeling good, the less often I will feel bad, right? So more good, less bad, fire bad. When the subconscious is rewritten, you're able to feel good on a regular basis regardless of the way life unfolds. In rewriting the subconscious, you reverse the gravitational pull of conditioning to become more familiar with the virtues of goodness. And who on the spiritual path is not undoing the gravitational pull of conditioning? Whole other conversation worth having, just not now. As goodness becomes more known, the opposite vibration of negativity can become a less frequent visitor in your reality. And we've got conflict and anger here on the table, so kind of gets that. Like right now, you can let this simmer inside of yourself. And embrace feeling good, the joy of the desire to give yourself permission to just want without too much expectation holding you down. This mantra is ideal for relieving guilt, releasing shame, and finding joy in new beginnings. And I think that's the thing. Can you get excited? Can you, like, what do I think about it? I get so excited, because that's an intuitive hit as well. Encountering conflict with the monk nun. You know, when you have something that maybe for some of you, this is a high spiritual vision you're trying to incarnate here, and maybe you feel like the world's not ready for it, and maybe you don't want to step into the arena because of what people scream from from the audience, so to speak. Brene Brown yourself, right? Dare greatly. But I don't have to choose sides. I take a stand. When conflict is encouraged, two opposing viewpoints wrestle for a dominant position. Each hopes to achieve success by changing the other's viewpoint. Have you noticed that's gone on for a while on planet Earth? If encountering conflict from a conscious standpoint, you may realize one of the greatest gifts you can offer is allowing others to be heard. Just to allow them to be heard, Amber. You may not agree with their argument, but you are embracing their needs simply by choosing to listen. Easier said than done, but remember, you got that King of Wands. It feels like, or you're dealing with the King of Wands, somebody that you are in conflict with, regardless of whether they're an Aries. It's another way to look at that. I kind of feel like that's you locked and loaded, though. Well, it can be both. When you listen instead of lash out, you are taking a stand for love. This is making the decision to anchor higher frequencies of light through the demonstration of your ethics. Solar plexus stuff called it. Morals and values instead of matching the unconsciousness of others with equal amounts of aggression. And I think that's that Mars Aries viberino there. This mantra is ideal for settling arguments, unraveling passive-aggressive behavior. No, you go right ahead. I'm fine. And releasing the tendency to blame. Big. This feels like your leverage. Just gonna say intuitively, although this is incredibly powerful as well. So let's look at resolving anger here. I'm gonna put it all together, give you a blessing, and we're on to the next thing on the Virgo task list here. Resolving anger. Conflict reminds me when I need more space for myself, and that means lock the door, turn off the phone, draw the shades, take some time and space for yourself. When anger is resolved, you're able to see your emotional reactions or the abrupt responses of others as evidence of profound transformation taking place. Element of fire. Boom. So I get that with that moon card. There can be a lot of emotions going on here that are making things cloudy, yours as well as others, right? So trying to keep that purity of heart is what this card is about. When anger is present, it acts as a sign of needing more space to face the feelings that are ready to be healed, or to balance out patterns of doing with moments of silent being. And, you know, depending on what school of psychology you want to go with, underneath all anger is a sense of powerlessness, and underneath all powerlessness is pain. So there is a deeper healing here, but then this conflict might not necessarily be with other people with that Two of Blades on the inner. It could be battling concepts, but that analysis, understanding that you're not necessarily seeing things so clearly. There are things mysteriously being withheld for the well-being of all, right? Hecate, powerful goddess. But it's worth waiting and pausing here for a little bit. This mantra is ideal for deepening interpersonal communication and tempering frustration. So it's almost like the Temperance card here. So this does make sense. It feels like you're getting some sort of real spiritual guidance, grace, direction, going back and forth on it. That's healthy. That is healthy. But in terms of bringing it out into the world, there's some conflicts here in terms of your career. But that you can really enjoy where you are right now at the same time allowing yourself to feel the desire for what you want. So I'm going to put it together for you in a little blessing like I do at the end of every reading I do, because the grace of prayer is mine, and it's in my book, Words of Grace. Breathe. As I call upon the collective pantheons of the divine, for the Sagittarian collective sun, moon, rising, Venus, sun, watching this video, receiving this reading, may they be blessed with all that they need in their work, career, and their vocation, that in their work they embrace their ability to give creative energy a practical expression, with a talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas, maybe even strategies of taking this Ace of Flames creativity they have and keeping it under their hat, so to speak, for right now while they rewrite the subconscious, because the more they embrace feeling good, the less often they will feel bad. And in their career, that they really allow the selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit with that loyalty to their vision, to who they are, to their creative process, locked and loaded, and yet encountering conflict, which is part of the creative process as well. And they don't have to choose sides. They can take a stand. They can be in the present moment, be the King of Wands, hear everyone out, and still maintain the loyalty to their vision, their truth, their creativity, their willpower for the well-being of all. And may they certainly be lit and lifted in their vocation, maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit while they think this one through with the Two of Blades analysis, knowing that maybe they're being a little mysterious, maybe they're being steeped in mystery, that things are not so clear. So Two of Blades is probably a good idea, but still, they need to resolve their anger, because conflict reminds them when they need more space for themselves, and what better way to pull back and keep symbolic purity of heart and spirit, analyzing all of this when things are cloudy. So may they be blessed again with all that they need in their work, career, vocation, and they can bring together their 3 levels of power into alignment, their chakras into alignment, and fulfill their role of what they came to do in this lifetime, their life purpose fully manifest for their well-being and for the well-being of all. So mote it be. And so it is. And there you have it. Did you like it? Like it. Hit the thumbs up. Help the other Sagittariuses find it, right? You want more of me? You're on YouTube. Subscribe. Yeah, because I'm not stopping anytime soon. And if you really want to come play Patreon on Patreon. They get all the extendeds, all levels, all subscribers get all the extended readings that I'm doing past, present, and of course moving forward. Lots of stuff ahead of time that no one else will see for a while. And some stuff that only they will see in total. So my pleasure, my honor to serve you, my Saggies. Seriously wishing you the very best and the very blessed in your work, career, and vocation. Hail, farewell, and blessed, blessed be.